Welcome to Flip Friday for March 7th and March 14th with no school and no meetings today. I'm just going to kind of lump these two together and let you work through the information at your own time. And a couple things that I will be sharing with you in this blend space, and this is one of my favorite periodicals, is Educational Leadership. And if you look at the title there, using assessments, and this whole thing is about formative assessments and how to use proper and good and useful formative assessment strategies in your classrooms. Again, the whole point of all of this discussion has been to really make sure that the grade reflects the student's level of learning, or the student's ability to perform the important information, the learning that you provide them in your classroom. So there's 5 articles that are going to be in this blend space. No expectation that you read all 5. Because everybody's in a different spot, and so you all are looking for and possibly need different things. So I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis. I thought about typing up a little bit of information about each one, but I felt like that probably would be slanted toward my understanding and not necessarily give you the opportunity to find what you need. First article is from Carol Ann Tomlinson, and it is titled "The 10 Principles of Formative Assessment." Again, more of the, if you're still kind of in that mode of, okay, I'm still not exactly sure what this looks like in the classroom, or if you need some supporting information, Carol Ann Tomlinson is one of the leaders. Dylan William, another outstanding person in this field, this is his life's work now. Does a lot of traveling, but with grading and assessments, and his article is about questions to reveal the student learning. Really a lot of very usable strategies that you could put in place very quickly. Some things that'll be very reaffirming that you already do. Brent Decor, 7 Good Moves to Formatively Assess. Fourth one is from Kathy Vatterott. That's one name I had not heard until this particular periodical came out, and it's titled "Student Ownership of Work." And that would be something that I hear again from a lot of you, talking about how do we really get that kid to own their own work. And the last one is from Myron Dweck, and Dweck is another name I run across a lot in this formative assessment research world, and it talks about the problem with penalties, namely zeros. And he does give, again, some real good hands-on usable strategies of how to get work in, how to make kids take that seriously, pathways to reassess and retake, and those kind of things that put some ownership back on the students. So I think a couple things. When I got this magazine, and I think ASCD, the National Association for Curriculum Development, the books that have been coming out, just the formative assessment, this topic is a real hot topic right now in education, and how to make sure that, again, that the assessments that we are giving and the grades that we are giving are a direct reflection, or a nearer reflection of the students' learning and their ability to perform those skills that we want them to be able to do. And so I feel like it's reaffirming when I get a magazine like that the things that we're doing are important, and there are things that other folks are struggling with and working through as well. All 5 articles are all, I think, 3 or 4 pages, maybe 4.5 pages at the most. They're all really good. If you won't waste your time if you do read more than one. Again, the expectation is that you read at least one of them that kind of catches your attention. I have tried to go through and mark with a star anytime that I saw a strategy that a teacher could use, because that question comes to me a lot, is what's this look like? How can I make this work better in my classroom? And those are things that I'm learning as we go along too. So I try to mark those with stars, and yet I try not to mark it up too much, because I don't want I want you to find what's important to you, not what is important to me when I read it. So how this supports my action plan, I'm going to just I know Jill talked about it a little bit, and part of the blend space is just currently, and I just for time purposes, it takes a little while to pull all this stuff together, but I put the high school. Right now, it's just the straight numbers of failing students. Middle school yours will be coming. I'll start sharing this data with you a little bit more. My goal was from the end of last year to the end of this year to have a 10% decrease in the numbers of failing students. And the other part of the goal that I had was that the number of using NISA scores So obviously that brings it down, really focuses on 8th and 11th graders, would be a pretty good parallel to the number of students that don't meet. So, the natural thought process would be if they don't meet the state standards or they don't meet the NISA test, that they probably don't meet our standards in the classroom, and they likely could have a bad grade and maybe even an F. But we certainly wouldn't want to see a situation where we had, 4 or 5 times as many failing grades in the class as we do, students that don't meet, because they're getting those basic skills then. And yes, there's more to learning than just those basic skills. We understand that. But so that's kind of the different things that I'm going to track as we move along. But one of those, as we looked at a year ago at the end of the year, was the total number of Fs. And that's like what we would call the duplicate count. So one student failing 4 classes is considered, that would be 4. And then also breaking that down eventually and looking at the numbers of students. And that was the purpose of how we started our year, talking about low expectancy students and how we try to raise those expectations for those kids, and try to meet their needs when they have a lot of need and a lot of those things that we don't have, that the supports that they don't have in their lives, and we all know that's difficult. So on this blend space, you will all 5 articles are attached. You can pick. You can review any, spend as much or as little time as you wish, but I do want you to pick at least one and really read at least one, and I think you'll find some good information. The Excel spreadsheet is just simply the current high school numbers. It's just numbers. There's no names on it. Numbers, and there's a chart that goes with it. And you'll see the quarter, the number of failing students drops significantly. And right now our second semester, as we've all felt the frustration, has been extraordinarily high in the high school level as far as the number of kids failing classes. And I will get to work on the middle school ones and try to share that here in the next few weeks as well, so we can start to see, and then we'll eventually break it apart into numbers of students and try to shake it down to really find if we have any patterns that maybe we can make some adjustments on. So that's what data is for, is to guide and inform, and that's what I'm going to use it for as well. So enjoy your afternoon of work today, and enjoy next Thursday and Friday. I know I will. State basketball tournament's one of my favorite times of the year, and enjoy those days and that time. And stick with it. I know a lot of you are trying some really some nice things, some innovative things with your grading. And I've had a few conversations with parents where they will call and say, well, that's not fair. My child, maybe they don't test well, but they were able to keep their grade up because they were able to do all of their homework. And to be able to turn that around and say, that's exactly what we're looking for. We felt guilty about not being able to say with great confidence that your child's grade was a direct reflection of how much of the information that they knew and can perform. And so you're telling me the thing that we actually recognized, and now we're trying to make it more into, your child's grade is going to be a direct reflection of what they are able to perform and or show and or explain and or do. And every one of those conversations has ended positively, where the parent kind of goes, oh, that does make sense. I haven't had one that didn't end well so far. So I think anytime you try something new, we all should know this by now, although it's still frustrating, there's always an implementation dip. There's always a time frame where you wonder, are they getting it? Is this worth the time? Is this worth the effort? But again, that focus needs to stay on, is my grade a good representation of my students' ability to perform what I want them to know and be able to do? And if you're working toward that direction, you're not wasting your time. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right work. And eventually, as we keep moving toward that direction, our students will understand that, and ideally, they'll raise their level of performance, knowing that it's okay to not know, and the power that they will gain in learning about what they don't know, versus focusing always on just the things they can do and hand in to be compliant. So anyway, hang in there. Keep up the great work. I know next week's going to be a long week with the conference nights. But it usually is we can look forward to those 2 days off at the end of the week. So thanks.